Good afternoon or good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to an impromptu and a bit overdue sort of news segment, if you like. I hope you're all doing well. I hope everybody is getting through their weeks in one piece and all the rest of it. Gearing up towards the Christmas period, it seems. Everybody's on full steam ahead. I've just been outside actually to get a couple of bits, and I had to go into town, Bournemouth town centre, and the whole Christmas festivities thing is well underway with Christmas market type things going on, little huts with decorations and this, that, and the other, selling all sorts of Christmassy sort of foodstuffs and artifacts and things like that. To get this video started, I'll start on a little bit of an eyebrow raiser. Certainly from my perspective, I walked past one stand. Those who know me know my backstory a little bit. I spent a lot of my time in Germany. I lived about half my life over in Germany, and I'm half German myself. My mother's German. And of course, one of the big traditions in Germany are their Christmas markets and all the lovely types of food that you get there. And that does get sort of replicated abroad in different countries outside of Germany to varying, differing levels of success, in my opinion, and authenticity and all that. I'm not here to, complain or anything like that. I mean, there are plenty of people who've never been to Germany, so it gives them an opportunity to have that sort of little taster. But I saw the prices of a bratwurst, which is your standard sort of most basic type of snack food that you'll get in Germany. It's the cheapest one, actually. And they're going for £8 £8 for a bratwurst, which translates into about €9, or a bit more. And so, I mean, if you were charging that in Germany, €9 for a bratwurst, you'd be going broke very quickly. People just simply wouldn't purchase that for that price. Absolutely scandalous. And of course, this is the thing, isn't it? I just mentioned it. If you've never been to Germany, there'll be lots of people who haven't been to Germany who will go to a stand and won't really, ask questions as to whether that pricing is legitimate or not. Might not sound much to many people, but I've got to say I find it pretty staggering that people can get away with charging such prices, such ridiculous prices. Over, £8 for basically a sausage that's a little over 6-7 inches long. Nothing special. You might get a bread roll with it. That's how it's normally served in Germany, with a bit of mild mustard. £8. Wow. Anyway, moving on. I'm just still getting over the shock of that because I find it absolutely extortionate. But moving on. Well, talking about outdoors, it has got very cold in the last couple of days. The winter feeling has definitely kicked in. And we had a little bit of snow. Again, I'm giggling because, again, it's something that maybe those who have never been to Germany won't know, but, once you've lived over there, you can tell the difference immediately. Germany is a country that always gets snow every year. Not every region always gets snow. You can go a year or two in certain lowland lying regions of Germany where you might not get snow or very little over the winter periods, but generally speaking, Germany does get quite a lot of snow over the winter period, and they know how to handle it when the snow time comes. They have all their gritters and their snow ploughing machines and all sorts of other things. They're very well equipped, forearmed, if you like, and they just crack on with it. People know how to handle it. In this country, of course, in the good old United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, we struggle if the wind exceeds 5 miles an hour. It's absolutely phenomenal how people freak out and buses are late and trains are delayed and etc. etc. I had to go to a clinic today just to get a couple of things sorted. It's something I do regularly, and even there it was noticeable because my appointment was put back, so I had to wait around because people were delayed getting there because of the snow blizzard that wasn't. I mean, there's not even any snow lying on the ground now. It's literally a bit of light sleet and that's it. But it's quite remarkable, isn't it? Different countries, different approaches to different things. And that leads me also to something that I was going to put out last week, actually, but I didn't. And as you can gather, this is more of a sort of a citizens journalist kind of video. There were a couple of announcements in the news. I do look at the news and keep an eye on mainstream mumbo jumbo, because I think it's quite important to see what that lot are all talking about, and the whatever tune the Pied Piper is playing at present. I like to sort of have a little look, obviously make my own judgment call on what I think they're getting up to, or how I think they're continuing whatever narratives they're pushing. One of the things that was announced, there always seems to be these sorts of things, always seem to be announced sort of towards the end of the year, when we're heading towards the Christmas period, when we talk about things like street homelessness and the needy, and the notion that it's very important, specifically at this time of the year, to help thy neighbour, or even better, help thy person who isn't a neighbour because they don't have a roof over their head. And the announcement came over the news that King Charles III went round to an area in England. I'm just looking at my notes now because it was last week, to open a couple of distribution centres, otherwise known as food hubs. And the aim of the game, according to reports from the BBC that is, for those who don't know, is that it's supposed to expedite, speed up the process of getting surplus, that's the key word in this, surplus food to places like charities and such like, to then hand out to the public. Of course, for me, that message basically is code for the needs are getting greater for things like food banks and stuff like that. Now, I know they are, and I know there are more and more food banks opening every year. I did post a few things about this a few years ago on Facebook, and it got mixed responses, as usual, from people who have no idea, they've done no research on it, they've had no involvement in it or anything like that, but they seem to have an opinion. And if there's one thing that I don't like or dislike a lot, is if you form an opinion on nothing, just opinion, not fact-based, having done no research at all. It's okay forming an opinion. I don't like truffle. Have you ever tried it? No, but I don't like it anyway. I've heard it's not very nice, so why would I bother trying it to put myself through that misery? Well, you might actually, though, like it. Maybe try it first, and then you can then form an opinion on what you think about truffle. Don't know why I mentioned truffle. But, yeah, so anyway, going off on a tangent, getting back to what we're saying. So the king is doing his duty as chief Brit, if you like, by going to a place, cutting a couple of ribbons and saying, here we go, the food that is surplus that we'd otherwise throw away or would end up in the back skips behind supermarkets, where you'll find people scavenging around at 2 a.m. And believe me, that happens, and it happens everywhere. Not just in England, by the way, I've also seen it in Germany. But they have now set up 2 food hubs, and I do believe they have plans to set up another further 10 at least. And again, like I say, this is all to streamline and better the process of getting surplus food, right? Surplus food that's left over, plenty of it, loads of food's left over, loads and loads and loads in this country is left over and goes to waste, right? To then bring that food to the people who need it. I remember a few months ago when I just a quick side note here, without me going on about me, but I remember when I moved flats, there was an issue with some payments and stuff like that. And one of the bits of advice that the lady gave me on the phone was that I should, well, if that's the case, if you're struggling at the moment, Mr. Pillay, go and check out your local nearest food bank. And I just thought to myself, well, that's not the solution to my problems in terms of getting my issues sorted out. That's just putting a plaster on, isn't it? A band-aid. And there are more and more and more and more people now dependent on food banks in this country. That is a fact. Anybody can look it up and research it if you go onto things like the Trussell Trust, for example, online. Even go onto the gov.uk, the official government website, and look up the homelessness stuff. It is shocking, absolutely shocking, and it's getting worse. You know, we have so many people sitting around on the streets in doorways here in Bournemouth, especially in the evenings. You see them noticeably then, obviously. I mean, it's just incredible. I very nearly ended up street homeless before I moved into this place. If a lady in the council hadn't tipped me off about this place that I live in, I would have ended up at best in a hostel, probably the local YMCA. And anybody who knows anything about hostels, and I've lived in one before I came to Bournemouth, again in the middle of rehousing, they are not hostels like in the traditional sense, not anymore. They are drug hubs. They are places where you can get off track very, very quickly, and if you don't behave like others who live in those hostels, you'll very quickly be pointed out and suspected of being, like with me, for example, undercover police, right? Your life can be a misery in those hostels very quickly if you don't go along with what others in there do. That is also a fact. I've experienced that firsthand. Anyway, getting back. So there we go. Food hubs are to be opened and more of them to come soon. So I thought I would just put that out there for those of you. I didn't want to ruin anybody's Christmas cheer, but that's a fact. Second thing also, just to add to that, is that pharmacies, I'm speeding up a little bit because I want to put this on Facebook, and they have a 15-minute limit. Pharmacies also across the country are closing at the moment. They're closing at 7 pharmacies per week is the rate. And so what they've done is they've gone a little bit on strike and they've started to stop doing certain services in an attempt to pressure the government, the mind controllers, to change their strategy and keep these pharmacies going. Again, for me, I think this is all a push to get people online and stuff like that. Because as I've said before, you know, bank branches are closing down, shops where you can get everyday household goods are closing down, all these places are closing down, and people are just going to Amazon and all that now. You know, all that sort of interactive, proper humane, human kind of touch stuff is dwindling very, very, very quickly. But that's another, I could do a whole video on that because I have very strong feelings about that. And, you know, at the end of the day, if we don't comply, it doesn't happen. It's the same old story. It's what we've been talking about for the last few years with other things. You know, it's down to the people to wake up and realise what's going on and go, we're not having this. We're going to pay cash at every opportunity possible. We're going to demand that our smart meters aren't installed. Like I know some people are standing firm, but, you know, again, because the majority are going along with it, they will eventually have to submit and it will be done. You know, but there you go. I just wanted to bring those couple of things for you. A bit of Christmas cheer in inverted commas with a very small c, just to give you a little taster of what's going on here in Bournemouth. By the way, while I'm at it, if you get a chance and you are local, please look up a guy called Andy Talbot. He is on Facebook. He is involved, runs an organisation called We Are Human. I was going to help out with him last weekend, but a couple of things got in the way and I couldn't, unfortunately, but I will very soon. He goes out and, first of all, they make soups and bread and all that sort of stuff, sandwiches, and then they drive out with a van and feed the needy and the homeless and the starving, of which we have plenty here in Bournemouth, unfortunately. I'm sure the same goes for other people and places and cities and towns in the country as well. But anyway, there you go. Another quick announcement. I keep looking at the clock because I'm mindful I've got to keep this under 15 minutes. There is the Flat Earth Social coming up on Tuesday, the 26th of November at the Bridge House Hotel, 7 p.m. kickoff. Jaron Campanella and Austin Whitsitt gets it. I think I've been beamed in by Sataloon to talk about this whole Antarctica trip and all the rest of it. I have my opinions on it, but I'm not going to air them here. I'll let other people do that. I think it's always important to let people make their own mistakes and find out that way. It's the best way, isn't it, really? Rather than sit there and preach to people. You know, everybody should find out for themselves and figure it out for themselves. So come along to that. I shall be there. I'm sure I'll have a question or two. Or not, as the case may be. Anyway, so there we go. I just wanted to bring you a quick few announcements, etc. Flat Earth Social and £8 for a German bratwurst. What's the world coming to? So on that note, I bid you all farewell. I will see you all soon, some of you sooner, until then, take it easy and ta-ta for now.